who I am. Well, if somebody would...
Like, because it's such a spectrum, and now you hear the kids talking about it. Like my teenagers talk about sexuality on this as a spectrum, as it should be.
As it should be.
And in the discovery of who they are, they have way more freedom to have those conversations without any shame, right?
Yeah.
And there's more tolerance and acceptance and even encouragement to explore the possibilities of where you are on this spectrum. You know,
which is such a blessing,
isn't it?
Such a blessing.
Yeah.
I have that with my two grandkids, where the 10-year-old is a they or them, the 15-year-old is a she.
Yeah.
But none of that. But you're right. Thank you for saying that. Open spectrum. That's exactly what it is.
And then there's the gender too. So that's the gender
Yeah.
fluidity, and then the sexuality spectrum and stuff. So it's great that we're having more of these open conversations,
Amen.
and that we're getting the shame part is
Yes.
what sticks with us. Do you still feel that even all these years later?
Felt it yesterday. That's going to go on my ticket to heaven.
Right.
I'm not getting to heaven because I'm thinking a dirty thought. And that's how it was positioned to me. If you think of a woman this way, you've automatically slept with her, and you've already made the giant mistake that you shouldn't.
Wow.
By thinking about it.
Which is so incredibly challenging, because biologically, like the way men are wired and women are wired, like we are still biologically wired to procreate. So your brain is going to constantly be analyzing a member of the opposite sex from a procreation standpoint.
Yes.
So of course we're going to have that initial sort of analysis of what, you know what I mean? Like, I appreciate that person is good looking or beautiful, or I'm attracted to that person. You know, that's your wiring. So for you to have learned, that you're feel shame with how you are biologically wired, which you cannot fix or change, it's going, that would be that'd be very difficult to manage. But it's just about appreciating beauty.
It's about appreciating beauty. And why would that be a bad thing if you'd want to be with a person, on that level? Because to me, I was also told, well, if you make love with the person you're with, married, mind you, then it's bliss.
Right.
Then the whole world has come together.
Yeah.
But that's not how it is.
But outside of that, you're going to hell.
You're going to hell. Anything outside of that. So whether you think about it, you'll never do it.
Yeah.
So you'll always be in guilt.
Yes.
And then there were times where I had done that situation, right, with a person. I felt awful and guilty about it, and it left me for weeks on end after going, oh my God.
Shame.
And
the fear
all
that you've sinned and you're gonna burn now.
Yeah. And what kind of human being am I to objectify this?
Right.
So right away, but I'm not being objectified. I'm not objectifying anybody. Well, maybe you are, Dale.
Yeah.
Dale won over, the two Dales.
Isn't it amazing how insipidous it is?
Yeah.
And it gets into your brain, and it's almost a form of but this is a big word, but it's a form of sexual abuse or emotional abuse, that messaging, so that it even denies you the fear in those beliefs, denies you the opportunity to feel the magic and the wonder and the deep connectedness that a physical relationship can have. Because if you have the echo after of all the shame spiral and everything because of these beliefs, like, it robs you of those experiences.
And it robbed me of those experiences inside the two marriages I had too, right? Because it's all of a sudden, okay, well, my wife doesn't want to make love to me, so therefore she doesn't want me.
Right.
So she doesn't love me anymore.
Right. And therefore I'm not lovable, I'm not worthy, I'm not wanted.
And in my world,
things,
I'd go find somebody who did.
Right.
So I was always trying to get.
Yeah.
Until I got to the point of my second marriage and divorce to stop all that. I'd already met Deborah, but built myself off of anything I didn't know. No different than how you would be looking towards dating.
Right.
Like all of a sudden now I want to date this person before I actually am with this person.
Right.
So I do this in a way because the other times didn't work. And I had mistresses on top. So so I'm just adding more and more layers of hell to myself, trying to fight to get in and be a part of it and be loved, and then realize making love with another person doesn't mean you're in love.
Right.
It means you're exchanging something together.
Right.
Hopefully it's a beautiful thing.
Right.
But to me, that was the way, well, I'm being accepted.
Right. It's what equaled being accepted and being loved. You were translating that act as being, and so you're just constantly feeling this hole inside yourself with whatever you grab onto. So now you're in this beautiful relationship with Deborah, who we love, and she's a beautiful person. And so what then, through your deconstruction and the unraveling of these things for you as you're sort of realigning the beliefs that you want to keep and the ones you want to leave behind, what are some of the things that you have held dear from the way you were raised, and some of the stuff that you held on to and you're keeping with you in your reconstruction? What would be some of those things?
Well, one of them was the love between my mother and father.
Okay.
Number one, that was a big one right there for me, that I carry around. That's about it, to be honest. I don't really carry.
Well, your upbringing was pretty strict and had some pretty strong messaging.
So I had to really deconstruct myself to let those things go over a period of time. And I really started that. I didn't really start that until I was in my 50s, 49, 50, 51. And then on my 50th birthday, I went with my second wife, Catherine, and my sister, Sherry, to Las Vegas, and this was like the birthday party. I was my birthday, and I'll never forget. I sat outside by the pool of whatever hotel we were at, and it was too cool. So it wasn't suntanning. It was like that sort of scenario.
Right.
But anyway, I'll never forget. I go, I'm changing completely. I'll never forget that. I laid there and I go, I'm changing completely, because you know what? The last 50 have been not so great, and I don't feel like I'm one. I've always thought too that the voices inside your head. Well, I always thought one's the devil, one's the angel. Never worked out, dudes, and you're not working out for me. And so I wrapped my arms around that and said, okay, let's change over time. Let's start off with this marriage. Let's get out of this marriage, and then let's work on me. And that's exactly what I did. I started with a psychologist as soon as I left Catherine, right? And that got me to a point. And then I started in with meditation and yoga. And then I met you, and you changed my life completely with soul tuning in a way I would not have understood any other way, because I needed that help to see whatever you saw, because I knew you saw stuff. And of course, you've seen stuff that I've totally blocked, that I've had to work through, and I'm better for it because of that, which makes me feel like I still feel I got the good guy and the bad guy here, but I think they're working together. I think they're all working together now for the betterment of beauty and love. And if I see somebody that I would love to be with, well, that's not a bad thing.
No.
But it's here. And I always have thought that if this is here, that the whole rest of the world knew what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And that
you were
scared.
Being judged for
and
it
I was being judged for it.
immediately.
And that scared the living daylights out of me, because I'm being judged for it, and I'm judging myself, and God's judging me for sure. So my ticket's no good.
No more small house.
No more small house. Now I'm basically the leper on the other side of the wall.
Homeless in heaven.
Homeless in heaven. At least I'm at the pearly gates, but they're not letting me in because I'm not. My name's not on the book, sort of thing.
Well, one of the big steps in sort of reclaiming our power and coming into the authenticity of who we are and stepping into the miracle of who we are and embracing that is your mind. It is deciding that you are in charge of what you're thinking. And if you don't like the tape player that's going on in the subconscious programming stuff, is to look at it and challenge it and be like, wait a minute, this tape that keeps going on and on about me not being worthy or not being wanted, is like, I don't want that anymore. Like, so how do I stop that? Because I'm done feeling this way. You just get so done. You're just like, I'm tired. I'm done feeling this way. I'm done feeling shamed. I'm done feeling afraid. And you just like, you kind of get exhausted, out of it, and you start making different changes. So what would you, for our viewers out there, anybody who may be watching, who's still kind of on this side of that choice, on this side of stepping out or doing their first brave thing or their first, taking the courage to say something to their mom and dad, or to quit the job they're in and go to something they would love to do, whatever it is, what would you say to that person who's watching?
Listen to your gut and do it.
Yeah.
I'm 12 years into what I consider the different new me, or just Dale, or Dale Richard.
Dale with a capital D.
Exactly. But it really feels to me like if you take the opportunity to bet on yourself, you can't go wrong. There's no way you can go wrong. The only way you can go wrong is live with all those things we've been talking about, because that's what holds you back.
Yeah.
Right? And then I found a creative side of me I didn't even know I had. I found some stuff about me I didn't know I had, which helped me with the whole sexuality sort of part through a soul tuning I did with you. And that opened a whole door for me that wasn't even possible. And you told me once too, a couple of years ago, so like, well, there's no devil. I thought to myself, how dare you? How dare you?
You were very mad at me.
I was mad at you. I also told you to go somewhere.
Yes, you did. And I'm like, that place doesn't exist.
And then I go, well, then... But
slowly unraveling all the structure of your life.
But there it unraveled for me
Yeah.
to go, oh, I stepped away from that in my times quiet after that to go, oh, yes. Why can't that be that way?
Yeah.
Why is it that way? What do I now do? And when you let go. So for any of you out there, let go and do. Because your first step is the toughest, but you get through that first step, and then there's another step. And then there's another step. And they're little steps to get you there. Do one step at a time, take care of that, and you'll be fine. And you just don't know. And all of a sudden, your universe and world will open so far up. It's kind of like the way cell phones are nowadays. They hear us and they see what we're thinking. So for instance, if we're thinking about Christianity, we're going to see a lot of that on our phones now.
Yep.
Well, but that's how you reprogram yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
You reprogram yourself by telling yourself, and if you got to write it down, write it down. I can now tell myself within 10 minutes to put myself, if I'm in a nap, to put myself into sleep, after I've even had a coffee, I can do that.
Yeah.
I could never do that before. My mind wasn't strong enough.
Yeah.
My mind wasn't strong enough to help me get past myself. It is getting past of oneself.
Yeah.
And that's the most difficult part. But when you start...
It's like walk right through the fear.
Right through.
Because on the other side of fear is the most incredible freedom and joy, and life becomes this playground, and you're playing with the universe all the time, and you are creating the life that you are living. And so on the other side of fear, you can start creating a life that you truly love, that you are dictating, and not the subconscious programming that that we pick up along the way. And it's
fear is not your God.
Fear is a liar.
Fear is a liar.
Yeah.
Every time.
Every time.
So if you keep that in the front portal and the back portal of your mind, you can't really stray from that, because that will help guide you.
Yeah.
Because anytime you fear something, I fear snakes. Am I going to go out and hold a snake? No. Am I going to do anything? So that's one of my biggest fears. You don't think I'm looking at the ground all the time, walking into trees while I'm looking for a snake? I am, and I always will be. But I've understood that I fear this fear, so therefore I'm fearing less of that fear in order to go, they're just creatures of the earth. Let them do their thing.
Yeah.
They don't care about you. You don't care about them, even though you care.
Yeah, which is letting go. Like you're
letting
saying.
go.
Let it go, and trust your gut, and walk right through the fear. And so
And trust your gut, not your head.
Yeah.
We both work with artists, and a lot of times, and I consider myself an artist in the field I'm in, but I get into my own head. And that's what strains it at the end of the day. It's just like, oh, and then I bring it home, and then before you know I'm showering, I go, oh, that guy said this to me. I'm going, so what? He was just making a point. Don't take it so personal, pal.
Yeah, that's right. It's like, why am I triggered?
We live in a world now that is even more triggered. But if we can trigger less ourselves in order to just settle in, I think we'll be a lot happier with ourselves.
Yeah.
And if we're happier with ourselves, well, then you're happy with everybody else, but then you can really see the form.
And it's an indicator. You know, what I love about the emotional guidance system, which we've talked about, before, is that when you have an emotional response that's a negative emotion, it's actually a signpost. It's an indicator saying, look here, look here, look here, because it's showing you something about yourself that you need to heal, or it's out of alignment, or it's a belief system you have in that moment on that subject. So I've learned to love those triggered moments now, and
Yes.
and put in the pause.
Yes.
So before I would be triggered and I'd respond immediately in my triggered state. Now I still get triggered, but I go, oh, hello, little signpost.
Yeah.
What are you showing me about me today, right now, that I need to learn about myself? So it's this whole, I know I talk about this in my groups, but the word reaction. When we react, if you take the pause and you see first, like if you imagine the word and you take the letter C and you put it first, you go from reacting to creating. So you pause and you go, wait, I want to create this moment.
That's awesome.
The way that I want it to be, as opposed to me reacting. So it's very, it's very powerful when you start to really understand yourself, why you respond to things the way you do, and then you can choose. And it's in the choosing that you take your power back, and you're able to really experience life as your full authentic self. Without fear.
I agree with you 100%. And I've understood that while working with you, to take that pause and know. And now I have so many tools in my toolkit. And I am now at that stage where I'm starting to enjoy.
Exactly.
We're all good.
No shame spiral.
No shame spiraling. No shame whatsoever.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here. I love chatting with you.
Thank you.
And thank you
It's a
for
pleasure.
sharing your story. I think it's going to help a lot of people to find their courage and make those choices in their own life.
Wonderful. I hope so. Thank you all. Thank you, T.A.R.A.
Thank you so much for watching. This has been a T.A.R.A. session.
I know who I am.